Infrastructure is the foundation that connects our nation's businesses, communities, and families, driving our economy and improving our quality of life.
Well, infrastructure is what binds our country together. It allows us to move goods and services around the country, allows us to flip a switch and have electricity, turn on a faucet, have water.
You can't run a 21st century economy on a 20th century foundation. You need a modern system.
Quality infrastructure is critical to economic development and economic growth, and it's important that a state has a plan of action, has timetables, has measurable results, puts the funding behind it to take care of their infrastructure.
If a city is not investing in itself, it's probably not going to be able to attract that next generation of people with choices.
The American Society of Civil Engineers 2013 Report Card for America's Infrastructure is a comprehensive assessment of current infrastructure conditions and needs across 16 categories.
It's a snapshot in time that says, how are we doing as a nation in maintaining and modernizing our infrastructure? We have a responsibility to let America know what's happening to this investment they've made.
The grades in 2013 ranged from a high of B- for solid waste to a low of D- for inland waterways and levees, resulting in a cumulative GPA of a D+.
Chicago Transit Authority is over 100 years old. Some of our elevated tracks date from the 1800s.
We have water mains in Washington, D.C. that were put into service before the Civil War, and we still have them functioning, and no wonder they break. But we've got an outdated system.
As far as the ports are concerned, there's certainly need for investment in the infrastructure on both the water side as well as on the land side.
About 42% of American roads are in poor condition, and it costs Americans about $101 billion a year in lost wages, wasted time.
We are behind. Between now and probably 2040 or 2050, we'll effectively be replacing the electric system. We are playing catch-up for a quarter century of not paying a lot of attention.
We've lost that instinct to have the best infrastructure projects, and I think we're going to suffer for it long term.
It's not only a challenge that Illinois faces, I think that's a challenge we face across the country. We are an aging, crumbling infrastructure.
We need leaders to step out and say, at the federal level, the state level, and the local level, we need them to step out and say infrastructure is important.
If our infrastructure doesn't work for us now, what about the future when we have more people?
Where investments have been made, we see the grades improve, from private investment allowing businesses to operate more efficiently, to cities and states creating long-term plans to fix their most vulnerable bridges. We see that where there is action, there are results. We saw 6 categories improve their grades over the last 4 years.
If you look at our rail system, local rail, the major rail lines have been making the investments in their trackage, in their bridges, and their facilities, and it's starting to show. The grades actually went up for rail.
We are making some progress. I think we have to recognize we're not going to reverse the trend overnight.
Every time we've gone back to our citizens and met or exceeded their expectations, they've allowed us to dream one more time.
The most important thing we can do for economic development is infrastructure investment.
It's just not the government that has a stake in infrastructure. It's every business, it's every community.